office hours, 10 to midnight. It's the only time I have to express myself uninterrupted. It's when I can steal a long kiss after I told you all about my day, and who knows what more can be said. Let's think about what we'll tell each other tonight, my lover, from 10 to midnight. This one is inspired by my wife's cooking abilities, and she makes wonderful cupcakes. And she's actually, trying to better her baking abilities. So I thought, I'm going to write about cupcakes, but it just took on another life form, this poem, so bear with me here. It's called What Can I Say About Cupcakes? Steadily working dough and hands kneading, those same hands warm against my flesh, healing. Hands that shape, fashioning life, your touch brings an indescribable pleasure. Selective, moving from one decision to another, mimicking your persuasive intuition. Gently coupling, fingers softly rubbing each other in a systematic dance. In that moment of creation, your movement softly caressing, touching, thinking, until the magic is discernible. Methodically placed in a heated oven, your manifold decisions are finally ready to be savored.
Here's Nate Yeager.
Just gonna yell it from now on. All right. So next up we have Britany Pridmore. Give it up for Britany Pridmore.
Hello? Oh God, I really hate microphones. All right. Good evening, everyone. Let me find these. Don't laugh, Mom. Okay, so I don't title anything, really, so I'm just gonna kind of go into it. I make a melody of my thoughts by turning them into pretty rhymes, creating my own personal lullabies. They tell my story and help me to find beauty in all things. And when I see beauty, I feel it deep inside. Am I loud enough? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do that. Alright, so I'm just going to pick up where I left off. And when I see beauty, I feel it deep inside, which makes all sorts of sadness give way for a little hope, a chance for a few moments of serenity, freeing me from a prison of heavy darkness. And I strongly believe that beauty, in any form, she opens your eyes to beauty that you never knew was there. But then there are those days when she gives up the fight, when she is too broken to cry and runs off into the night. It's not easy to love a girl when she is a burning flame, when she succumbs to her demons and dies inside with shame. But then there are those days when she makes you feel whole, when she captures your heart and touches your soul. Okay, this one's a little bit longer. Really personal. I've wasted years of my life looking for love in all the wrong places, convinced that I was worthless unless it glowed from men's faces. But even when it did and they swore it was true, my fear of abandonment would appear promptly on cue. So from one bed to the next, I would just give myself away, wishing on every star that this one will stay. But even when they tried, it was never enough. My mind would plead with me, please leave before being left, you've gotta be tough. But as soon as I was gone, as soon as I had checked out, the fear that I'd be alone again was all that I could think about. And before I knew it, I would be back on my knees, an emotional mess begging, please love me. Hiding what I was ashamed of, playing the part of a girl that could be loved, morphing into someone who pleased, becoming an intoxicating tease. The girl who awoke your soul, but always took a toll. I was controlled by intense passion. I lusted to give, but would always end up losing and had no way to live. I was so broken that I thought I needed to be saved by some guy. No matter how many tears, no matter how many lies. I couldn't fully grasp it. I couldn't understand until hitting rock bottom put unconditional love in the palm of my hand. She was my serendipity, assigned to me when my problems had become too deep. And though she was paid by the hour, I never felt her love was bought. She helped me start to unlearn all that I had been taught. She helped me find the answer to why I was such a mess. That even though I have 25-year-old skin, I was acting out because of the scared little girl within. That I am a borderline princess who will constantly be in distress unless I master the tools that help so many other souls. Because there's a hole in my heart, which developed when I was a child. And through all these years, it's had me acting wild. And until I accept, forgive, and learn to love myself, I would remain a spectator immobile on the shelf, watching life fly by while thinking tears from my eyes, wasting my potential, letting the monster win, not giving myself a chance, not letting love in. And I'll never forget when she told me, you need to give yourself permission to be happy. It was the first time that I cried in front of her, because those words cut deep, and I wasn't sure if I had it in me, but damn it, I was determined to try, with hope burning in my heart that one day I'll learn to fly high above my past, so I can find love that will last, because I know and believe without a doubt that when it is pure, love is the cure, and while being loved by someone is a treasure, one of the most satisfying pleasures. You'll never feel complete until you learn to defeat the self-hate that puts you in such a state of nothingness when you deserve to give yourself true love's kiss. Thank you.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Got it. All right. So once again, give it up for Britany Pridmore. Woo! Did you do it? Did you do it? All right. So up next is our first feature for tonight.
Like I said, she's a poetry director. She does an amazing job. She's the one that made all this come true, and I really appreciate everything that she does for playshows.org. But anyway, Autumn Waddell. Give it up for Autumn Waddell.
Okay, guys, my first poem is actually on the set list, so Nate is grabbing that for me really quickly. I'm gonna get settled. Thank you so much. Give it up for Nate Yeager, please. All right, so everybody can hear me, see me, we're all good? Yeah? Okay. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited that you're all here. This is an exciting night for me, just in general. I'm thrilled that we have Zoe and Keziah Toscano, and their artwork is amazing. So the theme of tonight is love. But we don't mean that in just the sense of romantic love. We mean love for friends, and love for family, and most importantly, we mean self-love. And my set tonight, which I'm not going to do a lot of talking in between, is sort of expressing the battle that I've experienced within myself between self-love and love for others, and trying to balance those two. So, yeah, I'm going to take a drink of water really quick. Bang. After 14 hours of labor, a soul comes screaming into this world. Bang. A little girl, taller than the rest, gets called names for her height and her white and her lack of a father, but refuses to cry alone in the bathroom stall. Instead, sits in years of a puddle of her own tears. Bang, she loses all the things she had grown to own. Her definition of love is ripped from her white-knuckled hands. The first boy she ever loved turns his back to her and changes his mask. She is left frail and thin and tall and blonde, wondering why she has been so unwanted. Bang, she's not a little girl anymore. Same height, but has thickened and come to have some sense of what the word woman means, that is not, in fact, defined by a man or any boy who doesn't love her back. It has nothing to do with the fact that her hair is now red and her hips have expanded. It is not because she is suddenly, and not so suddenly, almost 20 and still confused of how to love without being the victim. Instead, it is because she has taken the time to let her tears dry but has not forgotten the river they once made of her. It is because she no longer has to scream her entrances, but has instead let her presence speak for itself, reserving words for when they actually mean something. It is because she still refuses to hide when she carries sadness or joy or boredom. It is because she has the bravery and the audacity to love without expecting anything in return. We're going to switch from dark to light a lot because love obviously is very connected to heartbreak, and a result of love is heartbreak very often, and I have lived those things, both of them. So this is called Winter. I swear this winter could kill me. Not from the cold, but from fear of something freezing over inside of me again. I spent my last winter shivering in hospital beds. I was beautiful once. Before the pounds and the tears shed for things my heart has convinced me I've lost, things I'm not sure I ever had, a will to live, a motivation to be a human being. I'm living this life I never wanted in the first place and have managed to feel alive in certain moments, but never in the cool gray of January, or with the wind whipping me raw in February. I've always hated February. No one ever writes an ode to the winter, and I've been wasted. If you look at me the wrong way, I could burst this room into flames and only leave ash behind. With one word, you could crumble me. One look, one lie. I was beautiful once. I'm not sure I was ever strong, but I was beautiful, small and blonde and untouched by the horrors that have found me in this life. I used to want to kill myself, not only to escape, but to get back at him. If I couldn't be his girl, I thought I'd at least be his ghost. Okay, this one is untitled. I'm just gonna keep rolling through so we don't, dwell in that feeling. When I lost you the first time, I made sadness my best friend. Laying in the dark or on the bathroom floor, even my skin decided it missed you. The second time, cigarettes. Partially because they feel a little bit like you when I inhale them, I can feel the burn in the back of my throat, charring my lungs black. And I really can't tell you why I do this to myself. Consequences have become all too real in this spin of loss and grief. I made you promise not to make promises. But what hypocrisy. We all know I never keep the promises I make to myself, like committing to anything but you. You're the boy I once would have died for. Thought only of blades in that darkness, now smoking to distract myself from the thought of disappearing, but please don't think I forgot. You watched me cough up blood in my bedroom. Of course you were scared. I was too. Okay, so I put these in the wrong order. There's a lot of dark, but there's a lot of light, I promise. There is nothing romantic about death. I am guilty. I lack gratitude for this life. There is nothing romantic about death. I've seen it once, and her lifeless cold made me shiver, but there are days when I don't want to be here, would rather set my veins free. I hope for the day I won't need hope anymore, when now is finally enough, but I as a human am greedy. There is nothing romantic about death, but there are still days when I prefer it over life. This one is a little more slam style. I'm not going to claim it's a slam piece, but it's more so than the dark. I wrote this for a friend who went through a rough breakup, and I was watching him struggle, and it's not the person I just looked at, sorry. That was wrong time for eye contact. Get the laughs out. Laughs are good. See, I can be funny too. Lessons on how to unlove her. 1, take your time. Feel what you need to feel and say what you need to say. Stop preserving her feelings by not voicing the swell within you. Do not hide your fractured bones, your knotted guts, your sunken eyes. Take the time to heal them. 2, do not replace her. You know you couldn't, even if you wanted to. Do not run between the arms or the legs of another girl. Instead, spend your nights alone for a while. Let yourself be wrapped in the darkness, and eventually you'll find the light again. 3, reclaim the memories. Rewrite them. Take off the glasses, put down the cigarette, and just remember. 4, learn to think of something else as beautiful. Take walks by yourself until the flowers on the side of the road no longer remind you of her. If you need to, collect all the petals that look like her lips, Leave them on your kitchen table and watch how even the most beautiful thing withers. Let it remind you that nothing is permanent. 5, put everything that reminds you of her in a box and carry it up to the attic. As you place each item in the cardboard, take a moment to honor the memory it holds and then let it go. Do this alone, and do not label the box. There's no chance of you forgetting anyway. 6, find a space in your house that doesn't smell like her, and live there for as long as you need to. When you're about to break, return to the space where she haunts you, breathe her in for a moment, and then drag yourself back to the place that is empty of her. You'll have to get used to her not being around. 7, do not call her. Tell her you need time and space to let go. If she ever loved you back, she'll respect that. Only selfish girls dial the numbers of boys they never loved. 8, write a eulogy. Write it as many times and ways as you need to. When you have written your last version of her, compare it to your first and see how the shades have changed. Recognize that she was never the girl in the first poem. When you are finished, place them on top of the cardboard box and pile of dead flowers and put them away. Someday, I promise, you'll learn to love yourself more than you miss her. I'm also going to include a detail. I kind of lost my mind, and everything that I'm reading tonight, I wrote in the last week. So that's, or mostly in the last week, there's like 1 or 2, but it's a 20-minute set, so that's a lot of writing. I loved the way that he slept on a mattress on the floor in simple white sheets. I loved that he's the only person to ever call me by my full name. I loved him in the way of storage and eros and pragma, with my body, my mind, and all of my insides. I hate that I can never finish a poem about this boy, who rested like fog in the morning, a blanket of mist on my bed. He shed himself on me like starlight on the earth far before our lips ever met one another. But when they did, I melted. Watched myself drip from my fingertips and my hip bones, all of my angles become liquid under his touch. He tied a bandana over my eyes so I could no longer see the pink light, only feel it and him on my skin. Love. There's a lot of boy poems in here. Love yuck. That's what I used to call it when I was bitter from a breakup. I would call it love yuck whenever I saw a couple, which was not very mature. To the boy I could have loved. I wonder if you ever realized that the color of forgiveness was in my eyes, the taste of faith on my tongue. I never would have asked for an explanation for the rumors, but you threw them at me like you had something to defend. All I would have asked of you were the moments, one by one, as long as they felt right, and then a plain goodbye when one day they felt wrong. All I would have asked was that you return what I gave to you, that when I showed you forgiveness and faith, you showed me acceptance. I would have never claimed we were not flawed, but I would have hoped that you might realize that that too could be beautiful. I've written 2 poems about you. One about the drunken night on the bathroom floor, and one called I'm Not Going to Make This Beautiful. When truthfully, since then, that's all I've tried to do. I still defend you when someone else says your name, like it has a razor blade attached to it. I'm training myself in neutrality, to learn to shrug instead of always having an argument. I thought that might be the kind of girl you'd have wanted. And every time I told you I wanted you, it sounded like an apology, but it was never a question. You made fun of me for being too loud in bed. Had a running joke in your house because I'd kept your roommate up one night, but I only moaned to cancel out the silence between us, to fill the space, to distract you from the body that I know is inexperienced and flawed, and to distract myself from all the things I'd given you before we'd gotten there. All the things I should have known you would keep as if they were your own. All right, guys, how we doing? Yeah? Enjoying yourself? Okay, cool. I'm gonna take a drink of water. So another aspect of love is sexuality. Clearly, those two are linked. They are not synonymous, but they are linked. So this next poem is just my truth about my experiences. My mom looks so uncomfortable right now. This is called Virginity Poem. Wait, why are we laughing? Oh, my mom. Yeah, my mom. Okay. When you finished, you stood and redressed yourself, wearing the same button-up and looking infinitely less handsome. I watched you slip on your jeans, and suddenly you held no awe for me anymore. I fell out of love with you the day you took something I couldn't get back. I swear you never looked at me once. And I'd spent years chasing you, so many years it became a habit, and even after that I didn't know how to break it. But I broke the habit of loving you that numb day. Feeling you was the least personal thing we'd ever shared. I'd felt more between our fingertips all those days you would pass me joints and blunts and pipes and bags of weed. You were just another addiction that I had to take too far to know how to break. I asked you as you dressed, "That's it?" I was laying naked, still spread on bed sheets, and you simply shrugged and walked out my bedroom door. Just like all the times I told you I loved you, and I did. Fiercely and without hesitation, but you have become just another ghost, another silhouette who has left me with nothing but questions, another man who could have, but I refused to let break me, but it's not like you didn't take the risk. You called me dude in the middle of sex. Knowing full well that I adored you, you came quickly and then disappeared. Sometimes I wonder if I imagined you all together. And then I remember girls like me who hand out pieces of themselves hoping for something in return, girls like me with hope and faith, who take risks on boys like you, are often and almost always haunted by the boys who have let us down so desperately, but the desperation stops now. I will not wish you a happy birthday or ask you how you're doing. I don't care to know. But I would guess you still claim to be emotionless, refusing to accept responsibility for the wrongs you've done, all the girls whose hope you've shattered. I cannot carry you with me anymore. Vulnerable. That is how I feel right now.
Kicked our asses with that poem, don't worry.
Thank you. This is a concept piece called Canvas Woman. I once asked her how it felt to be painted upon. Standing simply as a canvas for other people's dreams, she feared the men, the boys never really loved her. They just loved the way her skin accepted pigment. They adorned her until she was suitable to have on their arm. One called her hair moss and drew gold tears on her cheeks. So she slipped on the rings he gave her, all ruby and brass, and shaved her flesh until her waist was small enough for him to wrap his hands around. Her voice, which once boomed, became a hushed whistle of wind with him by her side. For him, she wore lace and her own blood until she looked down and did not recognize her own hands, manicured and withering for all the secrets she held in her skin. But one day, she parted her lips to greet a blackberry and watched the feathers fall from the sky like angels. She ripped the flowers from her hair, shed the labels and the expectations, and laughed hysterically in the face of this so-called man. And he shrank as soon as he saw her grow. This is called You're Missing From Me. When the French say, I miss you, the literal translation is you're missing from me. I felt beautiful once, only in the face of lies, with brown eyes and curly hair. The issue with honesty is that you can lie to yourself. You can believe something when you say it, like, I love you too, but it doesn't always hold up with the passing of time. He wanted it to be true, because he found me beautiful, and part of him wanted me, but not everything that's whispered in the dark is always the truth. In the dizzy haze of late nights and early mornings spent in each other's arms, it would be easy to mistake. But I was just another pretty girl he wanted to feel against him. That month was all fingers spelling our desire. There was something familiar in his text. The sound of his voice became a lullaby. But when we returned home, we became all hands and lips and sweat. It is now 6 seasons later, and the wound has healed, has been replaced by bruises from other boys I may have loved. He cut his hair, as did I, and we've both grown distant and strange. All I can say is he's missing from me. All right, I'm repeating a lot of themes tonight. I hope it weaves together and isn't just repetitive. This is my last piece. It's called Seasons. I'm named after a season that is warm and dry where I live, but I was born under snowfall. I met you in autumn, under the drizzle of rain and scatter of dead leaves. When I met you, I was in love with someone else, wearing an oversized blue and black striped sweater that was not mine, but belonged to a boy I just called boy, or love. When I found out that I was out of love with him and in love with you, 8 more seasons had passed. In that time, you shed yourself on me like sunlight, and I'd only ever felt beautiful once before you told me I was. It was spring when I could no longer deny you. Just before autumn set in, I fell, tumbled stories silent, and was found on the ground as if my feathers were scattered, and the rush wouldn't stop rushing to check on me. I lost you in the crowd, but you would never be just another boy. The night we ended, the night everything came crashing like some wave creeping up from behind, I sang to you. You held me for what we both knew was the last time, and I managed an almost whispered song between sniffles and sobs. I sang. Cry me a river so I can float over to you. The bearers who deliver the news. I'm over the moon and underfoot. if we knew where we belonged, there'd be no doubt where we're from. But as it stands, we don't have a clue, especially me, and probably you. And he held me tighter with each line. The first time I wrote this story, I accused you of never loving me at all. Now, after a few more solstices and equinoxes, I still haven't loved anyone else, and I forgive you. With my words, I have made you beautiful again. With yours, I have forgiven myself for how long it took me to let you go. And through all of this, I have found one thing. I have found that the seasons will change. All right, that is our break for intermission. So mingle and enjoy yourselves, get some coffee, make some donations. All right, thank you so much.
to say, I said, I'm taking advantage of technology.
I got a little meat. You're all right.